Hello and welcome to this instructional video on the second part of the speaking exam for the new O-level syllabus. Just to remind you how the exam works, you will begin with a warm-up that isn't marked. Then you will be given a topic card with which you will spend 3 to 4 minutes preparation time. You will then give a 1 to 2 minute talk on the first topic, after which you will discuss the topic further with the examiner for 5 to 6 minutes. We'll focus on the 3 bullet-pointed questions in part 2 of the exam and how to answer them in order to impress the examiner and maximize your marks. For the purpose of this video we will use the same topic card used in the overview video of the new syllabus, namely, Ways of Learning. If you haven't watched that video yet, you should do so first, to familiarize yourself with the requirements of the new O-level speaking exam. You should think about the bullet-pointed questions in your 3 to 4 minutes of preparation time, while you are also preparing your talk for part 1. Note, however, that you should not try to answer the 3 questions in part 2, for the talk part of the exam, in part 1. Let's look at the first question on the card. Do you prefer studying on your own or with your friends? Why? How would you answer this? How about this answer? Do you prefer studying on your own or with your friends? Why? With my friends. This is often the kind of answer given in a speaking exam, and while it does answer the question, kind of, it's a very poor answer and one that you should try to avoid. For one thing, short answers such as these are unlikely to impress the examiner. What examiners want to hear are well-developed answers. Furthermore, it doesn't even answer the question. There are 2 parts to the question, and this answer fails to provide an answer for the second part. It does not answer the question why. The why is there to encourage you to provide a fuller answer. Let's look at how to give a better answer to this question. Do you prefer studying on your own or with your friends? Why? Start by using the words of the first part of the question to provide your answer in a full sentence. For example, I prefer studying with my friends. As you can see, that is already better than the first answer given because you are answering in a full sentence. However, you still need to address the second part of the question, the why part. So, we just add an explanation to the first part, using because. I prefer studying with my friends because we can ask each other questions if there is something we don't understand. This will give you a good answer to the question. However, using a simple formula, we can develop the answer more fully. The fuller the answer you give the more likely you are to impress the examiner with your speaking skills, so it's well worth putting in the effort to learn how to do this well, before your oral exam. Listen to this answer. I prefer studying with my friends because we can ask each other questions if there is something we don't understand. For example, if we're studying a subject together, different people might understand different things about the subject and they can explain what they understand to the rest. From my own experience, I remember when my friends and I were studying for a maths exam. I just couldn't grasp how to do quadratic equations, but my friend Anna knew exactly how to do them, so she took the time to explain them to me and finally I understood. Can you see the pattern being used here? Answer the question, use the words of the question to formulate your answer. Explain the answer, explain your answer using because. Example, give a general example why your answer is valid. Personal experience, give a further example from your own experience, a story, if you will. Look how much fuller this answer is, and think how much more impressive it would sound in an exam. What if you don't have a story to tell? Make it up. No one is going to check whether you are telling the truth. This is a test of your English ability, not of your honesty. What happens if you can't think of a general example and a story? No problem, just use the story as an example. Let's look at the second question. What different things do people like to learn outside of school? How would you begin to answer this? As with the first question, look at the wording of the question. You can use those words to begin your answer, paying attention to any grammatical changes. So you could say, people like to learn all sorts of things outside school. Let's look at a few of them. Now, this gives you the opportunity to start listing ways people can learn things out of school, and also the opportunity to use sequential transitions, in other words. First, secondly, thirdly. It's always useful to use transitions such as these because they automatically make your answer sound more structured, and a structured answer is more coherent. And after each thing you mention, you can develop your topic using examples and personal experience, as in the model we used for the first question. Don't worry if you can't include all the parts of the model. Just show that you are expanding on each point you make. Let's look at a couple of examples, shall we? What different things do people like to learn outside of school? There are many things people like to learn outside school. First, some people like to learn how to play a musical instrument, for example the guitar or the piano. Music plays such an important part in all our lives, and to learn how to play music can give people a lot of pleasure. I remember when I was very young, my grandfather taught me how to play the ukulele, because it's a lot smaller than the guitar, and my tiny hands could handle it quite easily. But now I'm older, I used the experience to learn to play the guitar, and I'm really enjoying it. Secondly, some people decide to learn different languages in classes outside school, because they realize how important it is to communicate with people from other countries, or even just because they enjoy doing it, or they like the culture of that country. For example, if you go to Japan and leave the big cities, it can be a lot harder to find people who speak English, so you will need to know some Japanese to communicate effectively, even for day-to-day things, such as shopping. I remember when I first went to Japan, I was trying to buy rice. I looked up the word for rice and went into a shop in a village, but even though I could see bags of rice on the shelves, the lady in the shop would not sell any to me. The reason why, I found out later. There are two words for rice in Japan, one for cooked rice and one for raw rice. I was asking for cooked rice which the shop didn't sell. Thirdly, you can learn all sorts of interesting things just by living life, because life has so many things to teach us. For example, if you take a walk in nature, you can discover all sorts of beautiful birds and plants, and also learn about how the planet can support us. From my own experience, I remember once when I went on a summer camp with a group of scouts, and one of the experiences we had was a walk through the forest to pick mushrooms. However, we had to be careful, because not all mushrooms are safe. Some are edible, whereas others will kill you. We learned all about how to identify which mushrooms were safe to pick, and which were not. Can you spot how the model is used in all the examples you just heard? Now let's look at the third bullet point. This is the only part of the speaking exam that has changed for the new syllabus, and it's a good change because it gives you plenty of opportunity to talk and develop your answers. The examiner asks, how far do you agree with the following opinions? You can discuss one, or both opinions. All students should study a range of science and arts subjects throughout secondary school. Students should be free to choose the subjects they want to study. How would you answer this question? It's always better if you have something to say about both opinions. You could begin like this. I think both these opinions are interesting, and I'd like to talk about each of them. First, I agree that all secondary school students should study a range of subjects, because. And then you can develop your answer further using the technique we have covered earlier in this video. Then continue, as for the second opinion, I don't agree that students should be able to choose the subjects they want to study, because. And again, you can develop your answer fully from there. But what happens if you stop talking, or if you find you can't answer a question? Unlike the first part of the exam, the talk, when the examiner cannot interrupt or help, for the conversation part, part 2, the examiner will ask you questions even if you stop talking. This will keep the conversation going. Finally, don't be afraid to ask the examiner to repeat or explain something in the exam. You will not lose marks for doing this. Even when you're talking to people in your native language, sometimes you need to ask for clarification, so it's a natural part of communication. When you ask the examiner to repeat or explain something, make sure you use a polite expression. Don't just say, repeat, or, please repeat. The following expressions sound far better and they are more likely to impress the examiner and make you sound more sophisticated. Could you plus verb plus please? Could you repeat that please? Could you explain that please? Or you can use, would you mind plus verb plus ing plus please? Would you mind repeating that please? Would you mind explaining that please? That brings us to the end of this video presentation. I hope you found it useful. If you did, I would appreciate it if you would give my video a like and possibly a comment. I'll be adding more and more material to help you, as a student, succeed at the English oral exam. And if you're a teacher, I hope you will find my materials useful for your classes. Either way, subscribe to my channel and get notifications when a new video is released. Good luck with your English O-level oral exam.